Welcome to this quick how-to video guide to get your QuickBooks updated for 15% VAT. Along with this video, you would have received a PDF document that will also take you step by step through these instructions. In the PDF, you also have a checklist to go through your changes and tick them off once each is completed. As a quick overview of VAT rates in QuickBooks, each rate is set up on a VAT item which will include the 15% rates and the VAT return box required for your VAT reporting. VAT items will be linked to a VAT code. VAT codes are those you select when processing transactions. You will recognize them on forms such as invoices, writing checks, etc. And your current default is more than likely S for standard VAT. In this video, the new VAT codes we are using are S15 for standard VAT at 15%, C15 for capital goods at 15%, CI5 for capital imports at 15%, and SI5 for standard imports at 15%. You can, however, create your own codes and naming conventions if you wish to. Once we have created all the new 15% VAT codes, we will go through an update to set all your current products and services, customers, suppliers, and accounts where applicable to the new 15% rate. We will also update your company default settings to set 15% as the new default rate for any new items. And just a reminder to look at the checklist in the PDF document. There are some additional checks and changes you may need to make. These include updating any memorized transactions as well as price list updates should you wish to do these. We are going to start off by creating a new standard VAT rate at 15%. To do this, select the Lists menu, then select Item List. Select the item option at the bottom of the screen and choose New. We will be creating two VAT items, one for sales and one for purchases. To set up the standard VAT item for sales, select VAT item from the Type drop-down box. Under the VAT item name and description, we are going to enter standard 15% sales. The VAT rate will be 15%. From the VAT agency drop-down, select SARS. If you do not have a VAT agency listed as SARS, use the VAT agency that your current VAT setup uses. For VAT reporting, select Domestic Sales for the VAT return box. Click on OK to complete this. We are ready to create a new VAT item for standard purchases. We will do this in the same way we did for standard sales. For the VAT item name and description, we will use standard 15% purchases. The VAT rate will be 15%. As with sales, from the VAT agency drop-down, select SARS. Select Domestic Purchases for the VAT return box. Click on OK. Now that we have the VAT items for standard VAT, both sales and purchases, we are ready to create a new VAT code. To do this, select VAT code list from the Lists menu. From the VAT code option at the bottom of the screen, we will choose New. We are going to enter the VAT codes as S15 and the description as standard 15%. This will allow you to distinguish between S for 14% and S15 for 15%. Select the taxable option. Set the VAT item for purchases as the standard 15% purchases VAT item we created earlier. Set the VAT item for sales as the standard 15% sales VAT item created earlier. Now that we've created the standard VAT rates, we will set up rates for capital goods imported, and standard imports. Let's create the capital goods VAT rates. We will use the same steps as setting up the standard rates, starting with creating new VAT items for capital goods sales and purchases. Under the VAT item name and description, enter capital goods 15% sales. The VAT rates will be 15%. From the VAT agency drop-down, select SARS. Select domestic capital sales for the VAT return box. Click on OK. We will now create a new VAT item for purchases. Under the VAT item name and description, enter capital goods 15% purchases. The VAT rate will be 15%. From the VAT agency drop-down, select SARS. Select domestic capital purchases for the VAT return box. Click on OK. To complete this setup, we will create a new VAT code for capital goods sales and purchases. Create a new VAT code. Enter the VAT code as C15 and the description as capital goods 15%. Select the taxable option. Set the VAT item for purchases as the capital goods 15% purchases VAT item created earlier. Set the VAT item for sales as the capital goods 15% sales VAT item created earlier. The last two VAT rates we need to create are for capital goods imported and standard imports. Both of these will only have a VAT item for purchases and not for sales. Create a new VAT item for capital imports from the item list screen. Under the VAT item name and description, enter capital imports 15%. The VAT rate will be 15%. From the VAT agency drop-down, select SARS. Select VAT on capital imports for the VAT return box. Click on OK. We will now create a new VAT code for capital imports. Enter the VAT code as CI5 and the description as capital imports 15%. Select the taxable option. Set the VAT item for purchases as the capital imports 15% VAT item created earlier. We will not be setting the VAT item for sales for capital imports. To add our final rate for standard imports, let's create a new VAT item. Under the VAT item name and description, we will use standard imports 15%. The VAT rate will be 15%. From the VAT agency drop-down, select SARS. Select VAT on standard imports for the VAT return box. Click on OK. And lastly, we'll create a new VAT code for standard imports. Enter the VAT code as SI5 and the description as standard imports 15%. Select the taxable option. Set the VAT item for purchases as a standard imports 15% VAT item created earlier. Again, we will not be setting the VAT item for sales. Our last step is to assign the new VAT codes to the default options in QuickBooks. Besides the VAT code selection on transactions, VAT codes are also used on taxable items, on customers, suppliers, sales, and purchase items like products and services, and on accounts. You can decide to update each of these items individually, or you can use the VAT code bulk assignment wizard to change all items at once. We are going to use this wizard. Go to the VAT menu and click Manage VAT. Choose Assign VAT Codes. A list of all your items will be displayed. We don't have any displayed in our list as we are working in a new company. Click on Bulk Change to update all items at once. A message is displayed recommending a backup. We won't be doing a backup on this video. However, it is always a good idea to do a backup before a bulk update, so click Yes to do a backup of your files. Once your backup is complete, the VAT code bulk assignment screen is displayed. Select each list that you want to change by clicking on the checkbox. From the drop-down list, you will need to select the VAT code to be changed from S, and in the next drop-down list, we will select the new 15% VAT code S15. Once complete, you will get a confirmation screen. QuickBooks has default company VAT preferences for taxable items. This setting ensures that all new products or service items are assigned the correct default VAT code automatically. To make the new VAT code the default on your company, go to Edit, then Preferences. Select VAT, then select Company Preferences. Change taxable items from the old VAT code to the relevant new VAT code. We are changing S to S15. To finish off, remember the last few things from the checklist. Update your memorized transactions, update your business forms, and if need be, run a price update on your price lists. Thank you.